weak these people are. Are they so insecure about their lives that they are not actually able to be a man? Be a man. You know, in some African cultures, I know the Maasai warriors were amongst them, a person only achieved manhood once he had gone out and single-handedly killed a lion with a spear. I mean, at least that gives that animal a fighting chance. These animals don't have a chance. But they're not going to have a chance anyway because the hunting practices are still going to continue. I think that if we had to regulate this business and we had to put laws in place, lions might stand a better chance. I don't advocate canned lion hunting. Please understand this, ladies and gentlemen. What I'm saying to you here is that banning it is not going to stop it. It's not. Now, in my research, of course, there was a myriad of sites telling everybody about how absolutely terrible canned lion hunting is, and groups banning it and petitions against it. But in all this time, it still hasn't been banned, and people aren't going to stop. I did come across a site, though, from a hunter, which intrigued me because he said, Safari Bwana has been around for many years. In fact, we are one of the oldest websites which has been dedicated to African hunting and its promotion, because we believe that by having a presence wherever it may be, however it is set up, hunting in Africa does play a vital role. However, of late, possibly due to the commercialization of the safari hunting industry, we are faced with many situations that are blatantly unethical and disgusting. Be it the operators, the private hunters that enable the clients, or the clients themselves wanting to be part of the big boys club. I think in a way he actually is insulting big boys everywhere by comparing big boys to these excuses of men. Today there are some shameful things that we as hunters are grouped with. Despite the negative and ever-critical press, we have great skeletons in the closet which need to be exposed and put to an end. Dave and Jenny Hill says, banning canned lion hunting will never be stopped, unfortunately. There are too many captive lions as it is, and people are going to make money out of it. Admit that they're there and hopefully be able to get some money to be able to inject into wildlife conservation. Thank you. Thank you for actually seeing it from that perspective. I cannot tell you how distressing it is for me to have discussions with people when I'm equally as passionate about wildlife as the next person, but people are unable to see that just because something tragic is happening doesn't mean that we have the power to stop it. As Mike says, Pete, if you could raise that lower text screen for me. Mike says, all sentient beings have a right, and they definitely do. You know, humans aren't even nice to humans. We do terrible things to each other all the time. I think it is naive to expect that we have this revelation and this whole complete change of ethos and attitude towards the natural world. Some of the research that I did as well, you know, when researching what has happened here, is that a lot of the humane societies come up with what they're calling myths about this hunting. And I would like to say that I've been involved in conservation matters for a long time. And I once shared the view of many of the humane societies that it should be banned. But I'll tell you something now, ladies and gentlemen. I've realized that banning it is not going to stop it. And I've also realized that unless we actually take cognizance of what's going on, these animals are going to continue to suffer. I think anybody who goes into an enclosure with a drugged animal or an animal that's been hand-raised so its fear levels are minimized is just pathetic. But if it is going to happen, then it must happen under the watchful eye of people who care. It must happen under the watchful eye of people who have some form of power, who have some form of regulatory potential. There are a lot of organizations out there. Let me give you some examples. I think I looked at the Born Free website, and basically following this legislation change in South Africa, one of the suggestions made was that the roughly 3,000 lions that have currently been bred for captive use now need homes to go to. You know, these animals need to be looked after. Either that or euthanasia. I mean, which is better for the lion? You tell me. But wait until I've read you some facts first. Basically, if canned lion hunting had to be stopped in South Africa, let's use these 3,000 lions as an example, okay? Where are these lions going to go? Because if I use the Kruger National Park as an example, it is over 1 million square hectares. It is larger than the state of Israel. Now, we did a few calculations this afternoon. 300 lions with an uncertain future. So where is the money going to come from under already stretched resources? The Born Free Foundation, I think, proposed that our government should first of all sort of take responsibility for having condoned it as far as they have, and then put funding in towards helping these 3,000 lions. But ladies and gentlemen, our conservation funding is stretched to the maximum, absolute maximum. And when I see these two arguments, I can't help but think to myself, I think that the wild lions need to be protected. And I think that these poor 3,000 lions that have been bred for a truly deplorable existence, you know, we need to try and balance this argument, because the 3,000 lions. So if you had to calculate one lion in a rehabilitation or care center costs approximately $400 a month to feed. If you times that by those 3,000 lions, you are looking at $15 million. Let me repeat that. $15 million just to feed one lion for a year. Now that is excluding veterinary costs. That is excluding the care people that have to look after them. That is excluding fencing, security. Are you telling me that these canned lions are now going to absorb costs that would have to go into preserving wild populations? That 15 million US could definitely be used for conservation purposes. But should it be dedicated to one lion? What to do with the 3,000, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have answers for you right now. I'm still processing the whole issue, to be dreadfully honest. You know, getting governments to sit up and pick up the tabs, especially here in Africa, is extremely difficult to do. You know, we have starving people. We have people that live on less than $1 a day. And the argument for justifying expenditure like that on lions that were bred for captive purposes, you know, is going to fall on a lot of deaf ears. Now, I just need to take a little bit of a breather because I'm feeling quite het up about this. And what I'm going to do is ask Pete in the control room to show you another clip. Now, ladies and gentlemen, once again, if you're even remotely sensitive, please look away. But this is a clip in which the lion almost won. I was rooting for the lion, and I'll comment a bit more on the clip once you've seen it. Take it away, Pete.
From the early 1900s, Africa was the place for the rich and the royal to go hunting. There was nothing more glamorous than a safari. It was disastrous for lions. Around Kenya's Masai Mara, the carnage continued until the 1970s.
Tour operators were complaining, we can't find big male lions, as we used to in the old days, to show visitors. So it was a serious problem. The big males were being taken out, and it was way beyond the capacity of the lions to recover from that.
Okay, sorry, I got my clips a bit messed up there because my brain is in a bit of an emotional funk. The reason why I think that clip is relevant is because it illustrates very clearly the fact that the reason why the Big Five are called the Big Five is because they have the most fearsome reputation when hunting them. Now, it's been happening a long time. Wildlife populations around the world, and particularly in Africa, were quite frankly hunted to the brink of extinction. I mean, as you saw there, these hunters were going into the wild and just shooting indiscriminately. and it caused major biological chaos. Okay, now